right, back in Corey's basement. Another episode of the More To It podcast. Jay Moore, Hail Varsity Magazine, Hail Varsity Radio. And man, this one is tough. This one's tough. It's going to be tough to call this one on NET on Tuesday night as well with Michael Severe and I. You know the stick, the Reed Big Red Wrap Up, NET 7 p.m. NET World 10 p.m. as well on Thursday nights. Watch myself, Michael Severe, Sean Callahan break this one down.
Well, I'm going to come too, and I'm just going to F-bomb and cuss and be pissed off the whole time. And hopefully they'll play it in the locker room, and I could be public enemy number one, but we'll get a damn win afterwards, Jay.
You come in there. We'll keep Gavin, the producer, on his toes, making sure he gets those.
Give me the bleep thing. I'll bleep it myself.
Yeah, so we'll see. Corey and I are going to discuss this. We're going to try to figure this thing out somehow, some way. But like I said, big red wrap up. Myself, Michael Severe, Sean Callahan. I think Stephen M. Sipple is the guest on Thursday nights or Tuesday nights. So be sure to tune in and watch that one. NET 7 p.m. Monday nights, and then I think it goes again on Thursdays as well. So, oh boy, this one was unexpected. This
was torture. This was not unexpected.
It was 100% unexpected. I was not expecting Nebraska to come out and play that poorly. Arguably,
was this a trap game?
No.
At home?
No.
Saturday morning?
No.
Worst teams. One of the worst. We're the worst team in the conference.
That's us and Penn State that's a pillow fight. And Rutgers. At least Rutgers took Michigan to.
I don't want to play Rutgers right now. Do you want to play Rutgers right now?
No, I think Vedral would torch us.
Oh my gosh! Can we re-sign this guy?
This one. So I don't even. Usually I have all the stats and some stuffs written out. I don't even have that for you tonight because I don't think. When you look at it, other than the fact that we were messy with the turnovers, obviously the penalties kill us again. There's something deeper. I mean, there's certain stats you want to look at, and the biggest thing is turnovers and then third down. Nebraska's offense is terrible getting a third down. Nebraska's defense is terrible in stopping teams on third down. I think both offense and defense are last in the Big Ten. I don't have the stats because I don't think this one, frankly, we can get into it, but there's some major after this one. You could look at the Ohio State game. Okay, it's the first game, one of the best teams in the nation. Northwestern game, okay, defense plays pretty solid. It's just offensively, you can't get things going. Then you finally get a win against Penn State. Okay, great. Okay, but you still have some issues offensively. Second half points, you still only get 6 through 3 games. You only have 6 points in the second half, and then boom, this hits you, and you think, okay. This is a game where Nebraska can maybe flex its muscle, gain a little momentum off that win, and then they completely shit the bed. And I have no other way to put it than
shit the bed, shit the floor.
Yeah.
I've got stats, Jay. I get some up here for real quick.
Well,
ready? You ready?
Okay, sure.
Third down efficiency sucked. Fourth down efficiency terrible. Rushing yards given up awful. Passing yards given up. Not too bad, but not great. Everything bad. I mean, there's nothing on this stat line. If you look at this stat line, I go, we had Ohio State. They're tough. They're one of the best teams in the country. We didn't have Ohio State. We had Ohio State's little stepsister who's in junior high, and we got tossed around. We got, you said earlier it's more than a stats thing, and it's two variables, and it's two things that are the same thing, and that's nuts in a nutsack, and we just don't have it.
Yeah.
And I thought that's one thing that we were putting in the past with Mike Riley, that we are never, ever going to have to deal with some kind of home loss like this again.
Yeah, I mean, you were going to this game as, 15 to, I think some places even had it at 16, 17 points. In
me.
Yeah.
First half.
Did you tease that one?
I'm on Jay Moore's podcast. I got to know something about this team. They're going to come out in the first half fired up after the first win. Ho, ho, ho. Looks like the kids aren't going to college, Jay.
Yeah. I mean, it was an 18-point loss, 41-23, but it just never, it was a lot worse. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. I don't even. This is just, with this one, it's tough. I don't even know where to begin. But I think what is interesting to me when you read post game comments and you hear, again, and even post practice comments in the week, and again you hear Coach Frost saying the kids preparing well. They, good week of practice. We've heard this before. But after the game, he says he did not see this coming. He's obviously embarrassed. I would hope so. And he just did not see it. He did not see this coming. But then you hear a guy like Luke McCaffrey after the game say energy was down. He tried to pick it up this week. And you're like,
Who's BSing?
Like, yeah, what? Who is, like, yeah, exactly. Like, why does, if Luke McCaffrey can see it, how come Scott Frost can't see it? And that's what's puzzling to me. Because listen, energy, it's hard. Like, these guys have been through the grind, right?
But so is Illinois.
So, everyone has. I mean, you're 100% right. This is 2020 has been a crazy year. You're playing, not playing. You are playing. Games are canceled. But listen, Illinois they've been putting through the grind as well. I mean, they played week 2, I believe, without 14 players because of COVID situations. They didn't play Wisconsin in week 3. Was it they played? No,
Wisconsin beat them. I think on the opener.
No, sorry, Wisconsin. So yes, you're right. Sorry, Wisconsin played them in the opener, but then the following week they had 14 guys out because of COVID protocols, and they made it work. They could have Illinois and Lovie Smith could have thrown in the towel. Everyone's been to the grinder. You can throw a lot of excuses why energy is down, but you can't have this happen.
No.
You cannot. And listen, you can be energy's down. I think if your energy's down and practice a little bit, you'd still think you should be able to beat Illinois. but Illinois looked phenomenal. They looked really good, but we made them look really good. And it's just that whole lack of energy thing. We've been through it, right? We've been through the grind of practices. Like it is. Sometimes it's a grind, but I can't imagine them guys feeling so good about themselves after one win that you would think, oh, we can kind of just coast this thing and we'll be able to take care of Illinois. That's just so puzzle. It's just puzzling and perplexing to me it's just why how do you let that happen?
It screams of lack of leadership like crazy. And on teams, when you're grinding, you're in the middle of the season, you've been practicing for so long, you're hitting the same guy over and over, but you still have to put in the work to get better week in and week out. Now, leadership doesn't necessarily mean there's the senior O-lineman, the biggest tough guy who's getting on your ass and trying to get you going and fire you up. There's also different parts of leadership out there that really, really help teams. There's the fun guy. You're sitting next to him. Even when people were down, they were grinded, they were tired, they were hurt. I always felt that my responsibility in our huddle was get the juice going, have some fun, turn it into a good time. We're all in pain, we're all tired. It's cold. You're hitting the same guys day in and day out. You got to have someone that steps up on the fun level because it makes people excited to get better. It makes people excited to play. But who is that guy? Do we have that guy? I don't think we have any leaders on the team that are necessarily putting us in the right place to win games and mentally in and week out, be there, be prepared, and get things done. And then you don't have leadership in other. I mean, scout team leadership was big because you want to talk about a tough racket. Maybe you're a red shirt. Maybe you're a third or fourth year guy that's never seen and you're getting your butt kicked on scout team. When those scout teams are having fun and doing well and playing hard, and then you getting the work in as the starting defense or the starting offense, that becomes a good habit. Because you're getting better looks, you're getting better preparation, and it's all because guys are juiced, they're flying around, they're having a good time. That plays just as much a role as the hard-ass guy that's trying to keep things in order and get things moving along. I don't know who is. I don't know if we have those guys. I don't know. And it has to start at the coaching staff and the coaches, not just Frost, but the position coaches, the managers, the medical. Everyone's got to be on board for this. And I just feel like we're you got punched in the mouth and you don't want to get back up. That's what it feels like right now.
What always puzzles me is there's nothing worse than playing a bad game and then having to go and watch that again in film and live that over again. I don't know. I think you and I are similar, cut from the same. Listen, all good athletes have egos and they have a sense of pride. And when you're a good athlete, when you get embarrassed, it gets at you. It eats at you, and it eats at you, and it eats at you until you're able to fix it. And you want to make sure that doesn't happen ever again. And there has come to a point where, like, my first year playing as a sophomore, I said it, like, I just got through. I just made it by I did it. I wasn't mature enough, and I didn't know how to approach it yet because it was just my first time kind of playing. So everything was, I'm playing. I'm just dealing with it. I was happy just playing.
Right. And trying to succeed and get
I was
better.
happy giving a chance, but that's all it was. It was not, then it was, I needed someone to put the pressure on me. Like, hey, we need you to, don't be happy just playing. Like, you have to produce. You have to be, successful on the field. We need you. We need you to play well. So then it's like, okay, how do I do that? Well, you got to practice well. You got to take pride in how you practice, and you got to take pride in. Honestly, it has to eat at you when you aren't successful on the field. You don't want ever to have that feeling again that you approach every practice like it's a game.
Right.
And then when you mess up in practice, you are just as pissed because now I always thought if I mess up in practice, I'm like, shit.
Yep.
I'm gonna do that in the game. Like, we got to do it over again. We got to do something,
it.
or I got to stay after so I can work my hands
out.
and do something better. Listen. I mean, I don't think a coach can get that through to you sometimes. I mean, a coach can chew your ass out and do all these things, but it has to come from like something deep down inside. And listen, I was a decent player. I wasn't a first-round draft pick that played 10 years in NFL by any means, but
I was.
but I got the most I could out of my talent, and to play really well for 2 years, and to play with some really good players, and to get Nebraska, or to get us to where we're able to play for a Big 12 title. And that's just weird to me. That I don't know if it's an immaturity thing or there's guys that just don't. They win a game and they think, hey man, like, we're cool. We're good. Like, Illinois is not that good.
It'll be easy now.
Well, we should be able to just roll our helmets out there and get it done. No. And I'm tired of I was a guy that learned the hard way, and this team has got to, they got to stop learning the hard way. Mm-hmm. Like, you've lost in so many different ways. Close football games, blowouts. You've won this in the last 3 years. They've only won 10 football games. Okay.
Do you want to talk about this right now?
No. I'm just saying. It's
unbelievable to me.
But and that's hard because this is a losing football team. These guys have lost more than they have won.
Program.
Yeah,
right now.
Right. It is, and these guys. I said this. They don't know how to win, and they do win. They don't know how to handle it.
That's right.
They don't know how to win, but when they do win, it's like, hey man, whoo! It's like that one time how many times did you go? I don't know. You go into a test, you didn't really study, but you got lucky, and like you get
every time.
Yeah, you get an A, and you're like, oh boy. I'm a pretty smart kid. No, I don't need to study no more.
Test is I'm just going to easy.
I'm just going to start doing that. The next time you do it, that's a D. It's like, no, dude, you got lucky.
That's right.
You got lucky once, and it's not going to work every time.
No.
And it's just, and I think that comes from top down, because where the staff has been, they've won. And that's fair. They've won, but they have not won here, where expectations are high.
Yeah. We were talking at the game. We have got so much glitter and just big-time names in this organization right now. Scott Frost was the coach of the year before he came over. He beat Auburn handily, and then he's jumping back to his alma mater. You're expecting similar results. We're not asking for better. We're not asking for you to come in and win 3 straight national championships, but we're asking for a backbone to our program to build on, and we've gone the opposite. And I told you during the game as we were going, and I just started to lose it, as I'm sure a lot of Husker fans did.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to know is I was sitting there, and I wanted to know, and for guys like us who've been through coaching changes, this is the worst. You're hitting the reset button on your program, and if you don't think games like this are going to cause problems for maybe years to come, look at the social media response. Your number one recruit questioning his commitment to the university that he said he's going to play for next year. That is a big deal. And there's these kids with distractions and everything that they go through, a lot of the stuff that we never really had to. It's difficult to keep them on the right track. And you have to have a type of athlete, a type of individual to build on a winning program. And I was always a big believer in all the walk-on program that Nebraska had that sustained a lot of it. Because, you get 23, 24 scholarships a year, whatever it is, and then you're filling the roster with guys that could probably play at other universities and be good. And those guys are the hard-working backbones that you need to push those talent guys forward because they're always sniffing on your heels. You talk about that changing moment. I had Bo Ruud when Barrett Ruud, you probably never heard of him. Barrett Ruud graduated. God, he played behind a guy my whole life, first in college and then in the pros. I couldn't get away from that guy. But it was a wide awakening for me when he graduated. That middle linebacker spot was vacant for the first time in 4 years, and it was left behind by arguably one of the greatest linebackers in Nebraska history. And Bo Ruud, a friend of ours, classmate of mine, teammate, linebacker, he came up to me and said, if you don't get your butt going, and I was still in that mentality like, oh, when am I going to see the field? I had to step up and play. And Bo gave me that nudge. That's the type of leadership that you need. He kind of taps you on the shoulder and goes, hey, take a look around. You, me, Stu, Steve Octavian, there's 4 really good linebackers in 3 positions. And Corey, if you don't get going, they're going to move me to yours. And I sat there and go, shit, he's right. Bo Ruud right about one thing in his damn life. And I had to start get going. And then, he and Steve ended up splitting time until Steve got hurt. But we looked around, and I took it just basically a self-inventory. When you go through a game like this, you go through something like this, it's nut check time. I looked around, and I saw you, I saw Adam Carricker, I saw LaKeven Smith, I saw 2 Bullocks twins. And I go, I am not going to be the reason that this defense suffers. Well, that year. So that was 2005. But that's the kind of thing you got to take a look around. And are you going to be a vocal leader? Are you going to lead by example? Are you going to be a structural leader? Are you going to be an enthusiastic leader because you need a ball? And I look back and I think about, okay, when we were grinding, and, everybody hated Sam Keller, the way he came in. He was Callahan's guy, and, what could have been with Joey Gans, if he would have gotten a start. But you know what? Sam Keller on scout team, when he had to sit out that year, he came to try and lace us every single day. And that made us better. And he was enthusiastic, and he talked a lot of shit. And, though it wasn't a big character guy, wasn't a great guy in the field in terms of a player, he really got us up for scout team, and that's difficult to do.
It is. You've said all the correct things, and I'm just trying to look. I'm just thinking through my head, how does this get fixed? I could have, Scott's got to be scratching his head a little, obviously a lot, and he's trying to figure this thing out. But it's just crazy to me that's when. And obviously Scott comes out, I think the day before that the Big Ten shuts it down, and he put his heart on his sleeve, and he was adamant, this team, this program, and we teamed up with pretty much Ohio State to get this football season played. And yes, because you want to keep your players safe, and yes, these players are safer in school under football. They're tested. They're being given all the right treatments and food and the nutrition and all that stuff. But then I'm like, you know what? They're going to be pretty damn good because, I look at some of these other schools and they're probably like, we don't need to play. Like, I thought like Minnesota was one of those teams. They've struggled this year. They're probably like, PJ Fleck wasn't like holding his hand up saying, no, we want to play. PJ Fleck's like, I don't think we're going to be pretty damn good this year, so let's not play.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, okay, I love it. I love the intensity where we want to play. And then you put that product out there. And listen, to get back to winning ways, there's some things that are unnegotiable. Like you build your program on it. And I was excited about what you saw at Ohio State. The physical play up front, good O-line play, good D-line play. It was those things are non-negotiable. You have to have those day in and out. Yeah, are you going to get some bad bounces, some fumbles? Sure, that's going to happen. That's football. Are you going to get some shitty calls? Yeah, and you're going to get them in Big Ten because the Big Ten officiating is god awful.
Yeah,
I mean they are.
And they hate traveling calls, this west.
Right. I mean it's terrible. I mean the call that we saw tonight with Purdue and Minnesota, that offensive pass interference, atrocious. The Nebraska not getting the review on the first play of the game.
Unbelievable.
Terrible. And then the fact that they fumble, that wasn't a fumble, but they still spot it forward. Like what? Like, are you guys? I mean, what are you guys doing? How is it that bad? I mean,
you're in a terrible place in your season when we've got to bitch at the refs.
I know. And that holding call down there on the one, that was even worse.
Oh,
like,
my
that didn't even
gosh.
matter. But you know what? I mean, that's what you do. Bad teams make excuses about the refs, and that's what we're doing right now because Nebraska's not a good. They're not a good football team. I didn't think I was going to say that this year. The things I thought, and this just shows you. I mean, as much as I think I know football, as much football as you and I have played, and I go, you know what? This offense is going to go this year. You got a really good offensive line. The strength of the football team. You got a 3-year starter.
Who told you they were really good?
Well, I just looked at how many reps they've played. I mean, how many games they've played.
You think that would equate to more open
Farniak,
games.
Juergens,
So why are
Bo Wilson, and then you get some young guys you put in them. Like these guys have played a lot of football. Like, and I just think that, and I mean, it's just me. I guess that's what happens when you assume you make an ass out of yourself and everyone else. Is the more you're in a program, the better you get. Because that's what you do. You try to get better every day and every year.
But you've been around athletes that take steps back.
Yeah, they do, and they have. They've regressed. And this offensive line play they've gotten worse.
Who's worse, the D-line or the O-line?
I don't know. I think the O-line. At least the D-lines, they've done some good things. This O-line, they can't pass pro.
You guys,
they can't line up and give it.
No,
I think the O-line's
pockets collapse immediately, and you got McCaffrey, who's an undersized quarterback,
running for his life.
Yeah, but I swear, Jay, we don't need to run a quarterback draw every third and long. I mean, we sat here and discussed last week how we don't go down the field. They corrected that a little bit. They made that more of a threat. And where did it get us? Mm-hmm. It got us into turnover trouble.
I think McCaffrey had 20 carries in the first half.
And I'm okay with that. I'm better off. I'd rather live by the gun, die by the gun. Meaning, if we're going to beat these guys, and they've given up, they had a bad rush defense, one of the worst of the Big Ten. Go after them. See what 20. If you're sitting there and you're Scott Frost, and you look, you're sitting there before the game, and you go, if I give Luke McCaffrey 20 carries this half, we should be up by 20, 21 points. That's what you would think. But with our O-line, that is not what happened. And that is the key. Like you think you give an athlete like that, and then you move Robinson back in the backfield, get him more touches, and nothing comes of it. That is offensive line, that is coaching, and that is just sad. Goodness. I might need to take like a shot of tequila or something.
I like that. Let's do it. I mean,
is this booze in my stomach, or am I super mad?
We care. We played. We care. Like, we want to see what's best. And when you see the same shit, and it's just a different game that we've seen for whether it's been Frost and Riley, and you're just frustrated because you and I were there with Coach Solich. We fired him after winning 9 games, and we couldn't get over that hump. This is
a tough conference.
In a really good conference. I mean, that 03. I mean, we were a really good football team. You lose you go down and get beat at Texas. You lose.
Missouri beat us on a Thursday night.
Yeah, it was weird. That was a weird.
I remember being in my dorm room, Shram 610 for life.
You lose that one, and then you lose to K-State, who wins it. I think they won it all that year. So, and then we beat Michigan State. But this is the frustrating thing because we are in like football purgatory, I feel like, right now because we fired good
Try
coaches.
being a Bears fan, too.
Right.
Chicago Bears fan, Jay. You think I've got enough quarterback problems in my life right now? God, I'm like scared to look to see what my high school's doing.
Hey, by the way, my high school won the Class B state championship on Friday. Shout out to the Elkhorn Antlers and shout out to Coach Wortman. That's his 6th state title. He's been in 11 state championship games. He's been coaching them for a while.
You track your junior high championships too, Jay?
No, I care. I'm an Elkhorn Antler for life. All right?
Antlers so dangerous.
Yeah, they are. They are. All right. Wow. So that was we got it done. That was fun to watch.
Is that Class G?
Class B. Asshole. Class B.
More cows than students in high school.
Oh my God. Probably would have beat Naperville.
Oh, wish. I wouldn't want to play you, though.
So what we're dealing with is, so now we fired coaches because we couldn't win the big game. Now we're to a point where we can't win, period. We can't beat guys who we're supposed to beat and win. And it's obviously, if people are listening, I mean, you are banging your head against the wall for the same purposes we are. And you're just thinking, are we ever going to get out of this?
Yeah, and I think the answer for this season is no. I don't think we have enough talent, enough experience to fight our way through a terrible home loss against a bad team. And to explain this more clearly, Jay, if we had those people, we wouldn't have lost in the first place. So that just goes to show. And you get your starting quarterback going up there and go, man, there's no energy. No energy. Think about what you were doing 6 weeks ago, Luke McCaffrey. You were practicing, banging your head, not knowing if you were going to step on a field in the year 2020. And you're telling me there's no energy when you're going into a home week game? Man, I couldn't wait for those games. I was so excited to get to practice. I was so excited. You go hard essentially for 2 days of the week. There's so much physicality in this game you can't have. You got competition Tuesdays. Then Wednesday you go pretty hard. It's all game plan. Mm-hmm. And then Thursday you're kind of taking it easy. You're doing situational football. Friday it's all mental. And then it's go time Saturday. And if he's sitting there saying, oh, well, we just got our win and then we had no energy, that is scary. Mm-hmm. If I'm the starting quarterback, it is my job to make sure we have energy. Same way it was my job on defense as the middle linebacker to make sure we had energy and keep that going. If you're starting quarterback saying that is bad news. Is he our starting quarterback?
Well, let's. I mean, you and I were discussing before I hit the record button, and I said the Luke McCaffrey experiment is over. We tried, and I listen. Mm-hmm. You try. I was okay putting him out there because of the inability to score points in the second half and to get some things going. Listen, it's not a Adrian Martinez issue. It's not a Luke McCaffrey issue. Listen, Luke, I think whenever his time comes to play, take over this full-time role at quarterback Nebraska, I think he's going to be good. He's a hell of an athlete. He's tough as shit. And he cannot possess. He can't throw the football.
That's it.
Period. And he doesn't see it. And he doesn't know how to throw. He's not savvy enough to make those throws. I mean, that pick, he had it wide open. And that when you play in a cover two, so sometimes you gotta put that thing on a rope. And
all time.
Right, and get that thing in there. Listen, I liked it. You tried something different. It's not going to work. If you want to stretch the field, and I think we had some guys, I just saw the TV tape, But the couple times I saw it, we had some guys running wide open. He did not throw it to them or get it to them.
Right.
As inaccurate as Adrian has been at times, I'm pretty sure he can make those throws.
Well, he has to, because that's the reason they put him in the starting spot, is in practice he's making those throws. And I get it, game time situation. Look, you could go in with the perfect game plan based on the film, based on what you're seeing and tendency-wise, and they could come out Belichick you and be something completely different.
Totally.
And then he's going, and if you're Luke McCaffrey and you're up in the stands, basically judging him and critiquing him, there could be a guy in a spot that there wasn't a guy in the spot, for the last 3 years.
And it's rare than college football. Like, there might be a few people teams who can Belichick you, who are going to do something completely different. And
it ain't Illinois. It ain't Lovie Smith. I know a lot about Lovie Smith.
Right.
It's a very rough years with him, Jay, in Chicago. I know it.
Yeah.
And he ain't doing that to us and to Scott Frost.
Listen, I don't even think Ohio State's doing it. There might be one team who can Belichick, and that's Nick Saban in Alabama.
Yes.
And maybe Clemson.
Dabo.
And maybe Clemson. That is about it.
That's it.
Because you know what? College kids,
maybe Notre Dame.
A lot of times, they can't decipher their mouth from their ass half the time. So you got to keep things simple and to figure things out. But listen. I would bet a lot of money that Adrian's a starter this week. I think this offense. I think it was an experiment. You tried, but I think from a reliability, I just think when Adrian was in there, even if the game was over, I just look at him like, this looks better.
And that's exactly what he needed to do, because now he's putting himself back in the conversation. It looks
better. I'm like, ooh. I'm like, God, it just feels smoother. It looks better. And if you want to be able to have a stretch of field and have some sort of deep threat, you can have a quarterback and make the throws. If you don't, then and again, here we are. We're back to this whole quarterback issue. But let
me solve this quarterback issue for you right now.
Okay.
Scotty F. That's Scott Frost. Listen, you put Martinez at quarterback and you put McCaffrey's ass in the slot where Robinson's been playing. Let him get those touches and move Robinson to running back. Because if you look at the stat line for our good athletic freshman, it did not look good.
No.
So I get him touches, get him in the game, maybe a couple snaps at quarterback, but you can't take Martinez and put him at wide receiver. You could take McCaffrey and put him at wide receiver, running back. Yeah. So get him out there. So go back, because this isn't a big enough gap where it's better.
And maybe in looking at that game plan against Ohio State, I'm like, ooh, this is cool. It's exotic. I'm like, you're probably not going to see this. Because I think you're going to see more of your traditional one QB, you're not going to see two guys out there. Like now, that's the best his offense has looked all year. I mean, that first drive against Ohio State, I'm like, maybe that's what you got to do. Put Adrian and put Luke out there, and you get Wandell, and just get your best guys. Like you're looking at, okay, if you have Adrian as your starter, then you get, because I don't know what Dedrick Mills' situation is, Ronald Tompkins. I don't know. He didn't play last game, but he wasn't even dressed for this game. I don't know what this issue is. I don't know if he's like skipping his Zoom classes. I don't know.
You could do that. I do that for
work. But theoretically, you're looking at, so you could have Adrian, Luke, Wandell, maybe a tight end, whoever, Austin Allen, Vokalek, Stoll. And then, Chris Hickman, he's coming in. They put him in there mainly to block, which but it's like I don't see him as a blocking guy. He's a taller, anyways. But then you're looking at Alante Brown, Marcus Fleming, Xavier Betts, who was running wide open a couple times to get there. I'm like, you have some power, some explosiveness there. Like, you know what? Maybe you need to get exotic to make this thing work. I don't like.
Yes, you do. There's nothing else. We've had very little glimmer of hope in spans where you look and you go, okay, I get it now. We're rolling. They figured it out. You don't get that. So you've got to keep your mind open to finding a combination or a great game plan that's going to be consistent. Just give me consistency.
And I don't like it. I don't like having to do some exotic things because I want to be the program that says, you know what, our offensive line,
power, bam.
we got a really good offensive line. We're gonna be able to get this thing going.
You're gonna be giving up by third quarter,
but we can't. This offensive line is I had high expectations and they have not met them this year, and I hope they can get it figured out. And that's what's crazy is I looked at the rest of the schedule. You beat Penn State, and I'm okay. We can beat Illinois. We got to go to Iowa. I go, that's gonna be tough. Iowa's gotten better. They started off slow. Iowa always starts off slow,
and they're rolling now.
But then you get then you get Purdue, and then Minnesota. I'm like, Nebraska could win these last 4 football games. They easily could. Now after you just got your ass kicked by Illinois, who I think they scored 27 points last week. That was the most points they scored. They just obviously scored 41 against us. I mean, it's
in the black jerseys. Okay, could we get to that?
Do you want to get into the? They're sweet. They were sick. I loved them. And listen, I know some people are very traditional. Like we play poorly in alternate jerseys.
Nothing to do with jerseys.
There's nothing to do with jerseys. They did not know they were going to wear those until they showed up to the locker room that day. Like that's nothing to do with it. Nebraska practiced piss poor this week. You do not put that performance out there with a great practice. You don't. It's just It doesn't happen.
And the black shirts were handed out.
Yeah.
And that is, I'm telling you, a absolute corner-turning experience throughout the season, because then it's just more fearsome, and you build more confidence. You play harder with that jersey on.
But they didn't.
No.
They played worse.
No. Might as well give them to the line.
Right. And that's what's so frustrating, because I thought this defense would have games like this where like they just weren't going to slow people down. And I thought the offense would keep pace. And you'd win some. And honestly, like the game last year, like Illinois, where Nebraska, I think, won like 42-36.
Come back.
That's why I was kind of expecting more games like this, just because of the inexperience up front. But Nebraska's defense looked like they played 90 snaps against Penn State. That's what they looked like. The backside help in the run game is atrocious,
if any. There's barely any to call it atrocious because it's not there.
The runs, I'm breaking down 2 runs on Big Red Wrap Up, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's just simple. Like,
do you remember me talking about?
You did
bringing those gaps down, and how massive they were.
No.
Do they not listen to your podcast?
Apparently not.
Should we just put it on in the locker room?
Yeah.
They're like, who's Corey McKeon?
Yeah.
It's McKeon. Yeah, I brought that up, and I sat there, and I'm watching the game with my brother-in-law, and he listens, and he's just like, no, I can't stop seeing it.
Yeah.
I can't stop seeing it. And once you start tuning into this stuff, I talked about what are we going to do on 2nd and long and 3rd and long, and all we did was run McCaffrey. That dude better be living in the cold tub because he's got to be beat up.
Yeah. Defensively, they got put in a tough spot with right off the bat. And they made some stops. Okay, they did. They made some stops. Casey Rogers getting the hands of the face on a 3rd and long, and it was the weakest hands of the face call I've ever seen. I think his elbow might have grazed up into the chin area, and I saw the head go back, but it was very quick. It doesn't need to get called. It got called. But then you come out in the second half, and you're like, okay, let's get this thing going, and you get a stop. The defense gets a stop, 3 and out, and this is what really chaps my MFing ass, because this is attention to detail. Attention to detail in year 3, folks. In year 3, and this is still the same staff that calls timeouts because the play clock's running down. When they've come out of halftime or a timeout or something, they can't get the right personnel. You come out and the punter he didn't even want to do it. The punter was like, I don't know if I should do this or not. I don't know. I don't want to. I feel like someone's coming to kill me.
He couldn't. It was too good to be.
It's like, oh my God.
No one's this bad at special teams. Where are they?
Yeah, because you know why? They had 10 goddamn people on the field.
Oh my gosh.
10. It was just after halftime.
Unbelievable.
Come on. Like,
I can't believe
come on.
You had 20-minute timeout and you screw up the first play back. Yeah, come on.
It can't happen. It can't happen like that. Listen, there's some things I can get with. I can understand. You know what? If crazy things happen in football, the ball bounces weird. You get some bad breaks, but those are the timeouts when you can't get your goddamn play in.
It's unreal because all you're doing is talking about it in the huddle.
And then you finally get a stop, and then that happens. You can't get 11 mother effing guys on the field, and they run a fake punt on 3rd and 13, and the punter was like hesitating for his
he couldn't
everything.
Believe it.
And they get it, and then they run more time off the clock, which we need to try to catch up and score points. And at least they held them to a field goal, but they took 7 minutes off the clock. The Nebraska had the ball back till 8 minutes.
Lost that game right at the beginning of the third quarter. That was unbelievable.
Inexcusable.
I know.
And
we're willing to cut slack because you and I have both supposed to be on the field.
Right.
In punt return.
I've been on, I was never on punt return, thank God. That's a bear. You were.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
I was on punt.
I was too. It was awful.
Yeah, I was on punt.
You were getting the fast guys on the corner like I had. You didn't know if they were going to try and hit you as hard as they could.
I was a guard.
Or go around you.
I was a guard in the punt. I had the third guy.
I was going to make, this is a true story. I was going to make up my own fake punt call because I was so tired of blocking those guys on the outside because they would just try to speed rush you. If I were to take 2 steps.
Were you a wing or a tackle?
I was a wing. I was outside. It was a nightmare. So this is a true damn story. So I'm just sick of it because then we got to go out on starting defense. Right. So I'm not purposely trying to be bad at it. I'm just not. All I had to do was stop the outside guy. I wasn't responsible for tackling anybody. I finally get off it. They're placing with Todd Peterson, starting wide receiver, and then they put the fake punt in.
At USC.
Oh my God!
You weren't catching that.
I was catching.
You were not catching that.
I would have scored. Like if Todd Peterson had my athletic ability, we would have won that game. That is on Todd Peterson. Todd, I hope you're listening.
You would have not caught it.
I would have scored a touchdown easily.
No way.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Take me out to do the fake punt. Just spit in the face.
But that kind of shit, that's what bad football teams do. They should, who's ever in charge of punt return, if I am Scott Frost, I am in his, programmers, you got to start editing this because I want to say so bad. Sorry.
I didn't know we could. I'm excited.
We can. They can bleep this, okay? They can bleep it out if they want. But because I can't handle it because this deserves, I'm in his ear. That is 1,000% inexcusable.
How about a teammate in his ear?
Who's the guy who's supposed to be out there? And I don't know if there was an injury. I don't know if someone got dinged and they weren't, but come on, guys! Would it have
even helped?
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. If there was, no, it would have because you had one. They rushed one guy,
right?
So there should have been two to take care. But then again, so you know what? If your coaching staff is detail oriented and is attention to this detail, if you know someone's down, boom. Special teams guy is like, okay.
They know who the backup
is. And the
player's got to be ready.
And you go to him at half, hey, so-and-so is down. You're up now on punt return.
And they go, okay.
You're okay.
And
so pay attention.
That should be it. It's that simple. It's not a complicated process. You have to go in and check your iPad to get an email notification that you've been moved to starting punt.
Right.
You just go. You see your guys down.
I mean, Christ, they have iPads in their lockers now. Shouldn't they get a notification?
Exactly my point. That was my whole point.
Yeah. So, oh, God. That's just... These type of mistakes should not happen in year 3.
No, they should happen in year 1.
Correct. But in year 3, and we want to say 2020 or whatever, but you're still putting a product on the field, and you're trying to get better and show that you listen. And that's the other frustrating thing is if you're saying people aren't doing the necessary things, we can't trust, we have trust issues, all these things. Listen, you practice more than any team in the nation.
This stuff should be behind you, and it should be irrelevant. These are not mistakes that happen. I don't care about COVID, all that. 3-4 games into the season, this stuff, you make mistakes game one because it's the first game, and those type of mistakes don't happen.
I'm just talking about getting people ready too. Like those, that's I don't care. I don't care, but like just getting guys ready to do their job. You've had so much. You've had more practice and walkthroughs and meetings. Okay, I needed to say the F word. Sorry, a couple times. Sorry for like people who are handling that. You gotta. I'll be sure to put that in the notes that I dropped a few F-bombs. You want to bleep them out? Go ahead. But
we lost to Illinois. F-bomb away, Jim.
Yeah.
At home.
Right.
I mean, does Moose need more cardboard cutouts? Should I get more?
I don't know.
What is going to help you? I will do what I have to do, Jay.
So, after this, we've been going here for 45 minutes. The wine's very good, by the way.
Tastes better after a win.
It does. But we had to do it. I wasn't able to get over here last Sunday after the win. Where do they go now? We've discussed it. Listen, the stats are shit. Where do they go? Listen, I mean, where do they go now to try to beat Iowa, beat Purdue, beat Minnesota, and then whoever they play for that opposite division game, and then I don't even know bowl games happen other than the college football playoffs. I don't even know it's a thing this year. I mean, bowl games are dropping left and right. I don't know what's going to happen. Put yourself into Frost's shoes going into practice this week. And listen, you have a thing. You have the way you go about things in practice. You have, what am I trying to think? I keep wanting to say like rituals. It's not a ritual. It's
routine. Your
routine. There you go. It's another R word. Thank you.
How much more wine did you have?
I didn't have anything. I'm pissed off. All right. But you go about your thing because this can't happen anymore. Performances like that cannot happen anymore.
That's why he's here.
Right. So what do you do to try to salvage? Because they are 1-3. You have 4 more games. Okay? You have 3 more games. I'm sorry. Well, technically 4, but you have 3 more games to win, to go 4-3. Then you win the. How do you fix this? What do you? They're going to practice tomorrow. What are you doing tomorrow?
I still remember the feeling of going into that first team meeting after you had such a bad loss and you played poorly. I remember that feeling. And if that's not motivating enough, if you're not scared to face your coaches after playing the way you play, if you play that poorly, there's nothing that's going to get this ship righted. Because there's just no pride there. Talk about the pride and the ego piece of that like you did earlier. That's exactly what it is. If I'm Scott Frost, I grind him. I am. You're grinding. It's good on goods. This is not up for debate. We're going to teach toughness here.
Kid gloves are off.
Yes.
And I think sometimes that, sometimes I wonder if Scott Frost is a cool cat. Like, is he trying to be too cool sometimes? Because sometimes these players don't need another friend. They need a coach.
Right.
I am an absolute prick all week. I'm sorry.
You've got to teach how unacceptable
I'm starting
this is.
practices over. I am the coach. I am the guy that I hated as a coach because it sucks as a player.
Right.
Like,
but if
the one thing's wrong, start it over. Start the whole practice over.
The drill, restart.
No, we're starting stretch over.
Right.
Dennis figure out. Hey, Dennis LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Figure out this class thing later. Because I'm not taking another performance like that again.
No. that embarrassment feeling, if that is not motivating you to pick it up during the week, go play soccer.
If there's,
go play soccer.
Yeah, I agree. If there's a rep that's half-assed, there's something, and if you're individual, guess what? Hey, if I am Greg Austin and I see my O-line screw up, hey, we start this over again. My guys can't do it right. You start and you know what? I need some good on good.
That's it.
I want 9 on 7
reps.
You know what? Hell with it. We might need some goddamn live scrimmages.
Go.
You know what? We might need some pads into Thursday.
It looked like we were scrimmaging on Saturday, and hell, I was playing a college football game.
You're right. And we might need. Normally, I believe I said Elkhorn.
They're not that good, Jay. Okay, easy. Yeah, let's get the antlers in here. Let's go good on good.
Right.
And let's really grind these Huskers out.
I don't know if they wear pads on Thursday. But guess what? I might be wearing some pads on the Thursday, too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the whole practice, but we're going to get some physical ass 9 on 7, and then we're going to take them off. Because this is unacceptable.
Right.
It almost makes me want to get into coaching because I'm so pissed off, but I just couldn't handle it.
Why? It's so easy just to rip on them without having any involvement like this.
I know.
You know?
I know. Like, it's just...
So do I.
Right?
I am no role model for younger people.
I'm literally, like, you look back in those times that we played poorly, with Callahan or Solich, and you're just like, oh my God, practice is going to suck this week. Like, you're just like, oh my God.
And but when you're rolling and playing well, and you're going through the individual drills, and you're able to joke with your coaches and make it more fun because there's such a more positive vibe on your team from winning. And then the coaches, they're going, well, you guys are winning, and we're going to run drills like this because you can. Mm-hmm. But if they're not head down, sweat dripping by the 4th or 5th period of individual, it's a step backwards.
These players should say, I hate Scott Frost. I hate my position coach. That's what they need.
They'll get over it.
They need that. They'll 100% get over it. Because you know why? If they would happen somehow to beat Iowa this week, which I don't feel very good after seeing this performance and then seeing what Iowa did to Penn State at Penn State, it also becomes, oh, that was nice. I'll work harder because I like to win. I like to feel good. I always tell this story. I always, going into the season, going into my junior year, and I don't know if I said this on Hell Varsity Radio or Bigger Rep before. I don't know if I've ever told you this.
Both.
Or both, whatever. I can't remember. Sorry, too many hits to the head. Going into my junior year, full-time starter, wasn't sharing it with Bernard Thomas anymore. Black shirt, getting it. We played Maine. We played Maine our first game, right? And it's easy. That first week, everyone's geeked up, juiced up,
ready to roll.
It's your first game. You're like,
done.
finally, yeah,
babes are on campus.
Right. And you're ready to go. But then that second week hits, and you're like, okay. We're playing Wake Forest, obviously good football team. We smoke them. We scored like 2 defensive touchdowns that game. Mm-hmm. We kicked their ass.
I had one of them. No big deal.
Yeah, I did it. But that week of practice, I'll be honest, I kind of just coasted through it a little bit, right? But we played good defensively, right? And we won. So I'm thinking, all right.
Maybe we're good.
Hey. But this is honestly a blessing in disguise. And I remember Kaz pulled me into his office, which he never does. And he had film pulled up on a few plays. And one of them was even running down a punt. And he's like, Kaz, hey, what's
Jay?
What's going
on, Jay?
Yeah, hey. It's kind of like Bill. Him and Bill kind of actually talking for you. Yeah, you got the look down. But him and Bill, that's what kind of goes, hey,
what's going on, Jay?
What's this shit? Huh? Is this what you want? Is this shit? Like, I got high expectations for you, huh? I'm like, but then my ego, and it's like, wow, you're right. I can't have. He's like, you know what? He goes, I want you coasted through practicing last week too, and this is what happens. This is the type of shit you put out here, and I go, fuck, damn it. Like, I don't like getting pulled aside.
No.
My ego's hurt.
You had to go to the principal's office,
Right.
you know?
I got put in timeout.
Yeah. No juice box,
Yeah,
nothing.
nothing. Right? No snack.
Nothing.
So we play Pitt that week as our third.
Falco.
Was it Falco? No, it wasn't. It was Palco.
Falco's from the movie.
Well, no, yeah, but we win that football game like 7-6. It was an ugly.
It was a grind.
It was a grind.
They were good.
But I practiced my balls off. Right. Hard game. You know, no relentless. Right. And I played good. I had a sack. A couple TFLs, PBUs, played good, okay? Then guess what? You're like, okay.
Makes sense.
Okay, because the reward is so much greater. That reward is so much greater. And then our first conference game of the year is Iowa State. And that might have been my best game of my career.
Yeah, player of the game. Over me, in which I had 2 sacks and like 3 TFLs, but you had to be all fancy and just bust my game right off the page with
I had an
play.
interception in now. Remember we were in that Denver check?
Yeah.
And I picked him off.
Yeah. It didn't look very athletic, but it was a good play.
Oh, shit.
You could see his face right now.
There was a spin move in there, and listen, I
run the wrong way.
No, I would love to pull this up on tape if I had it right now.
Fine.
But then it's like holy shit! I was like sold, 100% sold that you practice as hard as you can because I wanted those results.
Yeah.
I was literally willing to, like, at the point you tell me to jump off a bridge and I was going to have 2 sacks, an interception, and 3 TFLs. I'm like, yep, sign me up. What bridge do you want me to go jump off of? What wall do you want me to run through? You want me to literally lick the bathroom floor at the rail.
Whoa. That's pretty intense. Pre-remodel?
But it's like literally I will do it because I was literally, and you had it. And I think that's what, it's
addictive.
And I thought that's what these guys are going to get after this win. Because I thought, I would think they've been grinding. They've been putting in the work. They just hadn't seen the results yet. And they finally got the results to the win in Penn State. And they do this. Right? And they do this shit.
I don't understand.
I'm just like, how? That's what's so puzzling to me because you get results and you're like, okay, that's human nature, right? You're successful at something and you think, okay, this is me anyways. I'm also, if a little bit does a little bit of good, a lot does a lot of good. Mm-hmm. Right? So if I get my results and I'm like, okay, if I got that, okay, what did I do? What if I did that a little better? How much better can those results get?
Right.
And then you're like, okay, I'm gonna practice harder. I'm gonna do this.
That's a drive to
right.
make you want to be great.
I'm gonna eat better. I'm gonna get more sleep. What can I do better? Become more successful. Yeah. Right. And I thought these guys would have done that, but apparently not. And that's what's so frustrating to me that doesn't happen. Because I want this to happen. I wanted to try to get Nebraska back to where they were when I was there. And I thought we got pretty damn close. And obviously your senior year shit fell apart. Mm-hmm. And it was really, I thought it was, yes, it did. And I wanted to get there. I want it for these guys. I want it for the staff. I mean, we have good friends on this staff, and I want them to get there. And listen, there's no coaching changes need to be made, people. That does not need to happen. They need to, in my opinion, when you have stuff like this happens in year 3, it's kind of a come to Jesus time to me and say, you got to take a deep look because the whole talent issue is not a thing to me anymore. You want to talk about young players? Everyone has young players. Yeah. It's like, what are we doing Monday through Friday? Because it's not working.
No. And if you keep doing the same exact thing, you're going to get the same exact results.
Isn't that the term of its insanity? Or
Even in our years, Jay, when we thought we were turning the program, like we had Callahan's first year, which we had a ton of talent.
We did, but
in that team, but
offensively it was just scrum. Yeah,
I mean,
no offense to Joe Daly, he's not a West Coast offense quarterback.
Right. And then you feel it in 2005. There was like 1 or 2 games, Texas Tech, even. Or there's 1 or 2 games that we could have gone our way.
That
and then
game,
you're in a BCS conversation.
Oklahoma, because could be Oklahoma at home.
So we don't go, but we win the bowl game against a loaded Michigan team.
Yeah, and we smoked Colorado, who was the best team all year.
Yep. So we did really well. And then you got into the junior year, and you're like, okay, no more mistake games. We're going to win everything at home. We're going to win the tight games. And we did for the most. We slipped up against Oklahoma State. I mean, that
was a big slip up. I will say that. And we should have beat. I mean, we beat Texas. I mean, T. Nunn has that fumble and they get the field goal. Like that.
I think that. I mean, if you play SC at SC,
they were good.
They were really good. We want that one back. I feel like if we had to play them again that
our
year,
senior year, there should have been 1 loss in the regular season,
and it should have been to SC.
It should have been SC.
Every other game, we either took
we
care of handily.
We should have beat Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship, but our offense decided not to show up either. Honestly, the Big 12 championship game got off to a similar start, just the way this last game
turnover
off the bat, and it's down to 7-0.
And we lose that game 21-7. I think they actually had like a fake punt to get them to kind of seal that. But I thought that game we would have turned the corner. Mm-hmm. I felt like we were healthy. We were playing pretty good ball. And I thought if we win that Big 12, that is going to be the turning point in the program. And we came up short. And that was a tough game. I mean, Oklahoma was really good that year. They had very good coaching, very good team.
They're always. I mean,
but we were in that game the whole time. I mean, the offense just didn't come through. Yeah. You hold Oklahoma to 21 points, you'd think you're winning that game. But this is a turning point game. This is Iowa. Yeah. This is your rival. You're on the road. There's no fans going to be there. This is the time to beat them.
Honestly, like, sometimes, I don't like to be too cliche, but sometimes they all make sense. Like, the darkest times kind of bring out the best things. Mm-hmm. And can this be some time of a blessing in disguise in just this result? Because there just comes a time where you've like hit rock bottom, and I don't know if this is rock bottom. I feel like it's damn close because Nebraska's had some bad losses with Frost, but this I think is the worst one. I mean, you've had the Ohio State game last year. Ohio State was a really good football team. You had the Michigan game the year before, his first year. Nebraska wasn't ready to compete in that game. This was a team you were favored by 2 touchdowns, and they kicked your ass.
It's unbelievable. It's hard to sit here and think that actually happened. I thought I was in like the Twilight Zone.
This is a come to Jesus moment if I've ever seen it, because something has to happen.
Yes.
You cannot continue to practice the same way and expect different results. You got to do something different. Something has to change, because there's too many careless mistakes. There's too many penalties. There's too many inexcusable just 10 men in the field. Like, come on.
No.
Like, can't.
You're making me re-mad again.
No, it pisses me off. But I wonder, it's interesting, because this is like I don't know if it's a crossroad, but listen, was this game a blessing in disguise somehow? Because
in 10 years, I hope we're looking back saying that.
Maybe it is. Maybe they somehow can get their shit together and play well. I don't think so. I can't foresee them beating Iowa this week. I can't, because Nebraska has a hard time stopping the run right now. Guess what Iowa does? We're going to run the football
very well.
And then offensively is a goddamn shit show. It's a shit show. There's no other way to play.
I'm trying to think of something positive to end.
I know. I don't. I really was trying to. I was trying to. And then we've been going for an hour, but that's where I just kind of head this thing. Is like, can this be some sort of resurrection? Something. Yeah. Could this be like? Because I think as a player in Scott Frost, who's seen the success, in a coach as well. Everyone has the egos, but there has to be a time where, like, I'm done. I'm tired. Like, we got to do something. It's changing. It's changing now. It's not. I don't care if this 2020 season is a screwball year, and some people say it doesn't really count, it's an asterisk. I don't care, because you're still playing and practicing.
I can't asterisk in my brain. I'm going to remember these games.
Right.
As much as I want to forget them, I won't be able to forget.
It's got to change now. Like you can't go through. I can't go through this stuff. I can't watch this stuff anymore.
I can't.
I've been a part of some of these games, and it's terrible. And we've seen too many of them. And it's just everything was set up for him to come here and succeed. And you make the comments that people are going to have to adjust to us and get us early. Well, it's your third year, bud.
Mm-hmm.
It's not early anymore.
No.
You're not a spring chicken.
I'm still trying to think of something positive. Maybe you're right. Maybe in 3 years when we're going to our first college football playoff together on the flight, we're going to be like, remember how big of idiots we were? We're saying when we lost to Illinois that was the end of the program and end of days.
I'm not saying it's the end of the program. It's end of days. I'm just saying, trying to find some positivity is can this finally be like that last straw that breaks the camel's back, and maybe what worked at Oregon, things you did at Oregon with Kelly and Helfrich, and what you did at Central Florida, maybe, you know what, the Pac-12 and the AAC is a little different than the Big Ten. And maybe you're like, and you know what? And maybe you got to piece some stuff together. And maybe just to get through this year, maybe you got to start, like you said, put Adrian and Luke in at the same time. Mm-hmm. In Wandell. Maybe you got to get crazy. Yeah. You know, maybe you got to start doing something you didn't think you had to. But that's what good coaches do to win.
I could throw a suggestion, do something crazy, like don't turn the ball over.
Right.
Whoa, too crazy.
Right. Or
reel it back in.
Or penalties when you score a touchdown. Or 10 people on the field when there's a punt return.
That kicker. That was I couldn't believe, dude. I thought he was making fun of us. Look at this. Like, he just danced a little bit. Like, still get the first down.
He's like, he almost.
I think
he like stopped like the side, and I was like, you got no one coming? Like, seriously?
Yeah.
Like, he stopped and looked like someone's gonna earhole me, right? Like, I should probably kick this. Like, I don't know if I should do this.
Where are they?
Right.
Oh wait, they're the black jerseys. Yeah, where are they?
Yeah, but that's the one positive thing, and you know what? Like, maybe that's just
we beat Iowa. It's worth the loss to Illinois, in my mind. Big if.
Big if. I don't. Right now, score. You want my early score prediction?
No. I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
Yeah, Nebraska 100, Iowa 0.
Oh God, no. I have to have one. I have to have one for Tuesday night and a Big Red wrap-up. So
I think Iowa's going to rush over 300 yards, and if we do a bend, don't break, we'll be fine. But they're going to understand how to toughen up because this Iowa
both teams have a short week. But Iowa's got it figured out. Like, they're on a roll. They are on a roll.
They're going to be tough. What are we going to do down here if we lose to Iowa handedly?
We're going to continue to drink some alcohol and just vent. This is a good venting.
I wish we had more stats to talk about plays, but I
needed to vent. This is great. Like, I need to say some cuss words and just talk.
My son Odin learned a lot of new cuss words Saturday.
We just need to talk. We need to vent. This is good. Okay. Well, I think we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks, folks. I hope we'll be able to talk about a win next week. They play at noon.
Get your Christmas list Friday, Santa early. Put a Nebraska win at the top, please.
Oh, boy. And reminder, Big Red Wrap-Up, NET, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Myself, Michael Zavir, Sean Callahan, the normal crew. Stephen M. Simple will be the guest. You can see us. I'll be breaking down a few of these bad runs that we talked about on Tuesday night. So tune in, and thanks again for listening. More to It podcast, Hail Varsity Magazine, hailvarsity.com. We'll talk to you next week.
A Hurrdat Media Production.